Welcome to Mystic Stories and Folktales, where powerful tales come alive to inspire, challenge, and transform the way we see the world. Today, we bring you the story of a man who had it all and lost it all, only to discover something far greater than wealth. This is not just a tale of fortune and failure. It's a journey into the heart of humility. Sit back, relax, and let the story unfold. This is A Lesson in Humility, the Billionaire's Redemption. Alexander Reid was not born with a silver spoon. He grew up in a cramped two-bedroom apartment in the Bronx, sharing a room with two siblings. His father worked double shifts as a cab driver. His mother cleaned office buildings at night. Even as a boy, Alexander had a fire inside him, a relentless ambition. While other kids played outside, he stayed glued to second-hand computers at the local library, teaching himself to code by age 12. By the time he turned 20, Alexander dropped out of university, not because he failed, but because he had already built something bigger, a revolutionary software that would soon shape the very foundations of Silicon Valley. He founded ReidTech from his friend's garage, a cliché beginning, maybe, but what followed was pure brilliance. Within 5 years, his company dominated not just one industry, but several, including artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, digital healthcare. With every IPO, with every billion-dollar acquisition, Alexander's legend grew. At 34, Forbes named him as the youngest self-made tech billionaire. He graced the covers of Time, Fortune, and Wired. He was a keynote speaker at global conferences, a guest at presidential dinners. And he wasn't selfish either. Alexander donated hundreds of millions, building tech hubs in underprivileged communities, funding cancer research, investing in renewable energy startups. The world admired him. Young people idolized him. He was the embodiment of the new American dream. Inside, however, a different storm was brewing, one few could see. Alexander began to chase more than just success. He chased power, control, dominance. His board meetings turned hostile. He crushed competition without mercy, buying smaller companies only to dismantle them and eliminate rivals. Employees who once admired him began to fear him. His closest advisors warned him, "You're losing touch, Alex." But he didn't listen. Why should he? He was winning. Wasn't he? Until one day, he didn't. It started small. A former employee filed a lawsuit, claiming that ReidTech had stolen proprietary AI algorithms from a startup during an acquisition. Then came an investigative report suggesting that ReidTech's AI system was violating privacy laws in several countries. Governments launched probes. Investors grew wary. Shares dipped. Instead of humility, Alexander responded with arrogance. Lawsuits, denials, countersuits. The media, once his greatest ally, turned on him almost overnight. Talk shows mocked him. Cartoonists painted him as a villain. His empire, once so stable, now stood on shaking ground. Behind closed doors, betrayal festered. His CFO resigned. His childhood friend and COO publicly criticized him. Investors demanded audits. And perhaps most painful of all, a letter, hand-delivered by his own younger brother, Mark. I love you, but I cannot stand beside you anymore. Not like this. Alexander barely glanced at it before tossing it into a drawer, where it would sit unread for months. It was a slow death, not a spectacular collapse, but 1,000 small cuts. In one brutal year, Alexander lost 80% of his wealth. ReidTech was sued into near bankruptcy. The final blow came when federal regulators banned ReidTech from government contracts, a decision that sent remaining investors fleeing. When the smoke cleared, Alexander's empire was gone. The penthouses, repossessed. The Bugatti collection, sold at auction. The private island he had bought for $50 million, seized. And where were the friends who once toasted champagne at his yacht parties? Gone. Not even a text message. Family, silent. Business partners, distant. One night, Alexander stood alone in his nearly empty penthouse, the electricity cut off because he had forgotten to pay the bill, and stared at the New York skyline he once ruled. He realized, with a hollow ache, that he had no one left. For weeks, Alexander drifted. No meetings. No headlines. No goals. Just or existing. He moved into a small rented studio in Queens. No concierge, no rooftop views, no marble floors. Just creaky wooden panels, the distant sound of traffic, and a single mattress on the floor. There, stripped of everything, Alexander began to reflect. He pulled out a battered notebook and started writing. At first, just angry scribbles, blaming others, blaming fate. But over time, the anger faded, and the truth surfaced. He remembered the interns he humiliated, the friends he ghosted because they weren't useful anymore, the family gatherings he missed for business deals, the betrayals he justified in the name of ambition. One night, in the middle of winter, he sat shivering on his bare mattress and finally opened the letter from his brother Mark. It read, "You forgot the boy who used to share his lunch with others, even when he had barely enough for himself. You forgot the son who promised Mom he would never let success make him cruel. I hope one day you find him again." Alexander wept. For the first time in 20 years, he truly, deeply cried. And then he decided he could not change the past, but he could change what came next. Alexander started small. He volunteered at a local after-school program, teaching kids how to code. At first, they didn't know who he was, just a Mr. Alex, the funny guy who brought donuts on Saturdays. He apologized, truly apologized, to former colleagues and employees, not through PR statements, but in handwritten letters. He sought therapy. He rebuilt his relationship with his brother, slowly, painfully, but genuinely. He refused offers to return to corporate life, even when tech companies dangled millions in front of him. Instead, he founded the Bridge Project, a non-profit that provided scholarships, mentorship, and startup grants to young people from low-income backgrounds. He no longer craved applause. He no longer chased headlines. And strangely, for the first time, Alexander Reid was free. Today, Alexander lives in a modest suburban home. He drives a used Toyota. He wakes up early to walk his dog, Brewster. He spends weekends cooking meals with his nieces and nephews. He speaks at schools, not stadiums. He smiles more. He listens more. He is rich again, but not in dollars. In peace. In relationships. In meaning. Wealth fades. Power crumbles. Fame dies. But humility, kindness, and connection are those endure. Alexander Reid's story reminds us all. The greatest success in life isn't how high you rise, but how deeply you love, how honestly you live, and how bravely you change. See you in the next video.